They said it happened on a moonless night, when even the crickets refused to sing and the wind sounded like a whispering child. The villagers of Obanla still speak of that night. The night the road itself cried. A farmer returning from his field heard at first a soft, steady sound, like a baby's cry, coming from the narrow path that led to the old shrine. No one used that path after sunset. Everyone knew it was where shadows gathered and things unseen walked freely. But when he held his lantern close to the sound, what he found made his knees weaken. There, lying beside the dusty footpath, was a baby, wrapped tightly in red cloth. Not white, not blue, red. He tried to lift it, but the cloth felt warm, as though someone had just laid it down. And though the baby cried, its eyes were open wide, staring directly at him. That was how it began. The story that would divide Obanla. The story of the baby wrapped in red. The farmer's name was Tund, a quiet man in his late 30s, known for his good heart and his fear of anything strange. That night, he had stayed too long in his yam field, trying to finish before the rains. He never meant to take the shrine path, but the shorter road tempted him, as the clouds darkened and thunder muttered low. When he heard the cry, his heart stilled. He turned around twice, hoping it was just a night bird, but the sound grew louder. He raised his lantern, and the cries sharpened, clear, painful, human. Tun knelt beside the small bundle. The red cloth was tied with black thread. The baby looked newly born. He looked around, no footprints, no sign of anyone leaving. Only the road, silent and long. Who would leave a child here, he whispered. The wind blew softly then, lifting the edge of the red cloth, revealing a strange cowrie shell tied around the baby's ankle. Old tales said such charms meant protection or warning. He hesitated, but when the baby's tiny hand touched his finger, he felt warmth and something else, a strange calm that pushed away his fear. He carried the baby home that night, not knowing he had carried something far greater than a child. By dawn, news had spread through Obanla. People gathered at Tun's hut, whispering, pointing. Some came out of curiosity, others came out of fear. Old Mama Risi, the village midwife, was the first to speak. She looked at the baby and gasped. Red cloth? Cowrie shell? She murmured, tracing the marks on the baby's wrist. This is no ordinary child. The elders arrived soon after, faces stern, walking sticks tapping the ground. They demanded Tun return the child to where he found it. But Tun shook his head. I will not leave an innocent to die, he said firmly. The eldest among them, Pa Johnny, frowned deeply. You do not understand, he warned. The shrine path is forbidden for a reason. What comes from there belongs to there. Yet the baby lay quiet, peaceful, no longer crying. And when one elder tried to touch it, the red cloth glowed faintly, like embers under ash. They stepped back at once. Mama Risi only smiled faintly. The spirits have chosen where this child will stay, she said. Whether for good or evil, we shall soon see. And with that, Tun became both guardian and suspect, a man holding a mystery wrapped in red. For days, the baby slept quietly, never crying, never feeding too long. Tun named her Dunny, meaning sweet one. He grew fond of her innocence, though strange things began to happen around his hut. At night, he would hear faint whispers, not from people, but from the wind itself. Sometimes, the lanterns lit themselves before he reached them. Other times, the baby's cradle swayed gently, though there was no breeze. One night, he woke to find a Dunny staring at the roof, giggling softly, as if playing with something unseen. He looked up and saw a faint shimmer of light above her, like smoke turning into shape, then vanishing. By morning, rumors spread. Someone claimed to have seen a figure in white, standing near Tun's window, rocking an invisible child. When Tun went to the stream, the women drew back. They whispered, "That baby isn't from this world." But Tun only sighed. "Even if she isn't," he said softly, "she deserves love." Still, in his heart, he began to wonder who had left her there and why the cloth had to be red. One evening, as the sun bled orange over the village roofs, the chief priest, Baba Orn, came to Tun home. He was an old man, his body painted with chalk symbols, his eyes calm yet piercing. "I have heard," he said slowly, "of the child with the red cloth." He asked to see her. When Tun brought the baby forward, Baba Orin placed a small white feather beside her. The feather instantly turned dark, then crumbled into dust. The old man sighed deeply. "This child," he murmured, "was not born like others. She carries the mark of two worlds." Tun frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means her mother is not among the living," Baba Orin replied. "And the red cloth is what binds her here, between both realms." The priest warned him gently. "Care for her, but when the moon turns red, and you hear her cry at midnight, do not answer." Then he left, walking into the evening mist, leaving Tun standing there, the baby quiet in his arms, and fear growing quietly inside his chest. That night, Tun tried to sleep, but his mind wandered. Each time the wind brushed against the roof, he heard faint whispers, almost like a woman humming behind the walls. He turned toward the cradle. The baby's eyes were open, staring not at him, but at the doorway. And then, just for a heartbeat, he saw a pale shadow move outside, slow and graceful, carrying the scent of rain and wild leaves. Tun rose quietly, heart thudding in his chest. He stepped outside, and under the pale moonlight, the world held its breath. The road shimmered faintly, as if waiting for something or someone. At first, Tun thought it was mist rising from the ground, until the mist began to take shape. A woman stood there, dressed in flowing white, her face half hidden behind her hair, eyes glowing with soft sorrow. She looked young, yet ancient, as though the night itself remembered her. Tun tried to speak, but his throat tightened. The woman raised a trembling hand and pointed toward his hut. "The child," she whispered, voice thin as wind. "Protect her." Before he could ask who she was, a gust of wind tore through the path, scattering dust and dry leaves. And when he blinked, she was gone. The world fell silent again. Only the faint smell of wild jasmine lingered in the air. When he returned inside, the baby was still awake, watching the doorway with calm, knowing eyes. Tun knelt beside her, whispering, "Who was she?" But the child only smiled a small, haunting smile and drifted back to sleep. The days that followed grew heavy with whispers. Crops wilted before harvest, goats refused to feed, and the village, turned muddy overnight. The elders said the land was uneasy. Some blamed Tun. Others said the baby was a spirit sent to test their kindness. Mama Risi, however, defended him fiercely. "She's not the cause," she said, striking her walking stick on the ground. "She's the key. Can't you feel it? The air changes when she breathes." But fear spreads faster than truth. Children stopped playing near Tun's hut. Women crossed the road when he approached. One night, someone threw a stone at his door, shouting, "Return what doesn't belong to you." Tun sat quietly inside, holding a dunny close. The baby didn't cry. She only stared into the dark, eyes wide, as though watching unseen faces through the wall. And when dawn came, he saw something written on the door in red clay. "Before the next full moon, return her." The letters dripped as if freshly painted, but there were no footprints outside. When the message appeared, Tun sought Baba Orin. The priest met him by the sacred grove, his white cloth trailing behind him like mist. "You saw the woman again, didn't you?" Baba Orin asked quietly. Tun nodded. The old priest sighed. "She is not merely a ghost. She is the child's mother, and not by choice." He took a gourd of water, murmured prayers, and sprinkled it on the ground. The earth hissed softly. "Many years ago," he continued, "a woman from this village was wrongfully accused of witchcraft. The elders cast her out, pregnant and alone. She died by the roadside before reaching the next town. It seems her spirit never left." Tun's eyes widened. "You mean—" "Yes," Baba Orin said slowly. "The baby you found is the one she lost, reborn through her grief." He warned again, "The living and the dead are tied by sorrow. When the full moon returns, one must release the other, or both will fade." Tun's heart sank. He looked at the horizon, where thunder brewed again. How could he let go of the child who had become his world? The nights grew louder. Voices whispered through the trees, calling names that no one remembered. Dogs barked at nothing, and in the silence between the wind came the faint sound of a lullaby, sung by no one seen. Tun stopped sleeping. Each time he closed his eyes, he dreamed of the woman in white, walking along the roadside, her red cloth trailing behind her like blood. He tried to pray, but the air in his hut felt thick. The baby slept peacefully, yet each morning he found strange marks on the ground around her cradle, circular, like small footprints, glowing faintly before fading away. He asked Mama Risi to stay one night. She agreed, sitting by the fire, whispering old words of protection. But at midnight, the wind rose again, and from the shadows came the same lullaby. Mama Risi's hands trembled. "This is no evil spirit," she whispered. "This is a mother who never finished saying goodbye." By now, the entire village was restless. Crops dying, animals restless, children falling sick. The elders called for an emergency gathering beneath the Irako tree. Pa Johnny spoke first. "This cannot continue. The child must be returned to the shrine path before the full moon. If not, the ancestors will turn their backs on us." Tun stood before them, weary but firm. "She's a child, not a curse. If you saw what I've seen, you would understand." But the crowd murmured angrily. One woman shouted, "Then let the spirits take you both." Baba Orin raised his hand for silence. "There's another way," he said slowly. "The mother seeks peace, not vengeance. We must find her resting place and complete what death left undone." The elders argued, voices clashing under the vast tree. But as they spoke, a sudden wind swept to the gathering, strong enough to snuff out every lantern. And in that darkness, everyone heard it. The cry of a baby, echoing from the shrine path once more. The cry tore through the night, sharp, clear, and haunting. Men grabbed their lanterns. Women covered their ears. Dogs whimpered and hid beneath huts. Tun ran before anyone could stop him. His feet hit the earth hard, following the sound toward the shrine path. The air grew colder with each step. Then he saw it, the red cloth fluttering on a tree branch, glowing faintly under moonlight. He approached slowly, and the crying stopped. Silence, heavy and endless, pressed against his ears. The red cloth slipped from the branch and fell into his hands, warm, though no fire was near. Then a whisper, "Tun." He froze. It was the same voice from that night, the woman in white. Only this time, it sounded closer, sadder, almost pleading. The villagers reached him moments later, but found only Tun kneeling in the dust, holding the red cloth to his chest, tears in his eyes. "She's calling," he said quietly. "She just wants to come home." At dawn, Baba Orin gathered the elders again. "This is no ordinary haunting," he said. "Her spirit is bound by injustice. We must find where she lies." They searched old records, burial grounds, and forgotten trails. Finally, Mama Risi remembered. There was a woman buried beyond the river bend, not with the others, but alone. The group went there at sunset, the place overgrown with wild lilies and silent birds. The air felt thick, sacred. Tun knelt beside the unmarked mound. He placed a red cloth on the soil. A faint wind rose, soft, circling, like someone sighing relief. Baba Orin sprinkled blessed water and whispered, "You are seen. You are not forgotten." Just then, the baby, carried on Mama Risi's back, began to hum, the same lullaby that had haunted their nights. Everyone froze. Even the trees seemed to listen. Tun's eyes filled with tears. "She's answering her mother," he murmured. "She knows." Word spread quickly. Some villagers said Tun had spoken to the dead. Others feared he had brought a curse upon them all. Fathers forbade their children from going near the river bend. Mothers whispered prayers when he passed. But Baba Orin refused to back down. "Fear cannot heal what guilt has broken," he told them. "If we cast out this man and child, we invite deeper darkness." Still, a small group led by Pa Johnny gathered secretly. They planned to take the baby away before the next full moon, to return her to where she belongs. That night, Tun felt uneasy. He heard footsteps outside, whispers, the sound of a baby crying. Not a Dunny's voice, but something fainter, echoing. When he opened the door, no one was there. Only a clay bowl set on the ground, filled with river water and a single lily. He didn't touch it. He knew it was a warning. The full moon rose, swollen and red. Every hut locked its door. Drums stopped. Fires went out. It was as if the whole village held its breath. Tun sat with the baby wrapped in the red cloth. Her eyes gleamed faintly, not frightened, not calm, just aware. Suddenly, a sharp knock struck his door. He turned. No one was there. Then a voice whispered, "It is time." The baby stirred, reaching her hand toward the window, toward the road that led to the river. Without thinking, Tund lifted her and stepped outside. The air shimmered like heat. The night pulsed with unseen movement. He followed the road. Behind him, faint footsteps echoed, 1, 2, 3, matching his own. When he looked back, a white figure followed slowly, her face hidden beneath her veil of light. By the river bank, the moon's reflection trembled on the water. Tun stood there, heart heavy, as the woman in white approached. Slow, graceful, silent. She stopped a few steps away. Her eyes glowed, not angry, just filled with endless sorrow. Tun whispered, "She's yours, isn't she?" The woman nodded faintly. "But why come back?" he asked. "Why through me?" The woman lifted her hand and pointed at his chest. "For kindness," her voice echoed softly. "For mercy that the living forgot." Tears streamed down Tun's face. He looked down at the child, still calm, smiling, then back at the ghostly figure. The wind shifted. The river rippled, as if something beneath it stirred awake. And then the woman whispered one final word that chilled his soul. "Choose." The air trembled, and the moon dimmed behind a veil of cloud. Tun's knees felt weak. He held the baby tighter. The woman in white stood by the river, her reflection rippling beneath her feet as though she stood on both water and memory. "Choose," he whispered again. "Choose what?" Her gaze lifted toward the sky. "When the living hold on to the dead, both suffer. You must return what belongs to the earth, or let the living fade with it." He shook his head. "She is all I have left. She is not a spirit, she's a child." But the woman only wept, tears of light falling into the river, glowing faintly before fading. Then the baby turned toward the ghost, reaching her small hand forward. And for a moment, Tun saw both of them reflected in the water, not separate, but one. The truth struck him like thunder. The child was the mother's spirit reborn, and the woman was what remained of her sorrow, still searching for peace. The first drops of rain fell, soft, heavy, deliberate. Wind howled through the forest. Lightning flashed across the water. Tun shouted above the storm, "Tell me what to do." But the woman said nothing. Instead, she raised her hands, and the red cloth began to shimmer, lifting gently from the child's body, floating in the air like a living flame. The wind circled them, fierce but not cruel. Tun shielded the baby. His heart raced. Then, a sudden voice behind him, Baba Oren, drenched in rain, had followed. "Tun," he called. "The choice is not between life and death, but between holding and letting go." Lightning struck the riverbank. The earth trembled beneath their feet. And from the heart of the storm, the woman's voice came again, gentle, pleading. "Let her rest, and you shall see her again, not as ghost, but as grace." Tun looked down at the baby's eyes, calm, trusting, then toward the spirit's tearful face. The storm demanded an answer. Time slowed. Every sound faded. Even the rain, even the thunder. Tun knelt by the river's edge. He kissed the baby's forehead, whispering, "Forgive me, little one. I only wanted you to stay." The baby smiled, a soft, knowing smile, as if she understood. He placed her gently on the red cloth, setting it afloat on the calm part of the river. The ghostly woman stepped forward, her light touching both child and water. Her face softened, grief melting into peace. Baba Oren whispered, "It is done." The river glowed, then slowly dimmed. The cloth drifted downstream, and as it did, the woman in white dissolved into a shower of silver mist, her whisper echoing through the wind. "Thank you." When Tun turned, the baby was gone. Only the red cloth remained, folded neatly by the water's edge, dry despite the rain. He fell to his knees and wept, not in despair, but in quiet release. Morning came, soft and golden. The storm was gone, and the river flowed clear again for the first time in years. Birds sang. The air smelled of new life. When Tun returned to the village, silence followed him. No one spoke, but every face showed something new. Relief. The crops looked greener. The goats had returned to graze. Even the elders bowed their heads as he passed. Mama Reese met him by his hut. "You did what even the bravest men could not," she said quietly. "You freed 2 souls at once." He smiled faintly, but inside, a hollow ache lingered, the sound of a baby's laughter still echoing faintly in his dreams. That night, as he sat beneath the stars, a soft wind brushed his face. Warm, familiar, and somewhere far away, he thought he heard that same gentle lullaby again, but this time it carried peace. Weeks passed. The village thrived again. Rain came when needed, fields blossomed, and laughter returned. One morning, children playing by the river shouted for Tund. He ran to them, and there, on the water's edge, lay something small and bright. It was the same red cloth, but this time it held a single white lily, fresh, untouched, glowing softly under the sun. Baba Orn approached, smiling knowingly. "The river remembers Mercy," he said. "The spirit rests, and her child is with her, whole again." Tund lifted the lily, pressing it gently to his heart. He felt warmth bloom inside him. Not sorrow, not fear, just peace. He looked at the river one last time, whispering, "Sleep well. Little one, your story will not be forgotten." As he turned to leave, a faint laughter, light and playful, danced across the wind. And though no one else heard it, Tun smiled. The river flowed on, carrying secrets and blessings, just as it always had. Sometimes what we hold on out of love must be released so peace can return. The river remembered Mercy, because even sorrow can heal when met with kindness. Tun's story reminds us that not every spirit comes for vengeance. Some simply seek to be understood. And when the living show compassion to what they fear, even the dead find rest. If this story touched your heart, remember to share, and subscribe for more stories like this one. Another tale awaits, of things seen and unseen, where truth often hides behind whispers of the wind. Until next time, I am Irene, and this was another tale.